welcome back to my channel. So, guessing by the title of this video, you kind of already know what we're doing. I've never done this before. I've seen it a lot on BookTube, but kind of like a reading vlog. My book club for school, which I'm like a co-president of, is reading Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes at the moment, and with the movie coming out and people obsessing over the trailer, I thought it would be appropriate to do. So that is what we're going to be doing in this week's video. However, my Kindle is always dead, so I will have to wait a little bit to download this thing. I'll get back to you guys when I do and talk a little bit more about it, but my plan for now is like every 50 pages maybe to give you guys an update. I'm gonna have to see how long it is on my Kindle, but we'll chat about all this once my Kindle revives itself. So I'll see you guys then, and then we'll start the reading vlog. All right, we've got this thing fired up. It's still at 9%, so I'm not gonna unplug it yet. This thing is actually ancient, but startlingly it still works. So I'm gonna load up this book. I'm really excited to read this. I've heard a lot about it, especially from people like in my family. My cousin was like, Emma, you have to read this, and I'm definitely interested. I feel like I am going to be getting a little bit of reader's whiplash because I did just finish reading, like not even 2 hours before this, 44 Scotland Street by Alexander McCall Smith, which is a very like leisurely book. There's not really a plot, there's not really rising action, and so I definitely think that this one's going to be a little jarring, but I am really excited, and I also want to be in the know when the movie comes out. That's something I always like to do, is read the book before the movie. Otherwise I just won't want to watch the movie until I read the book. You can see that there it is right there. All right, let's do it. I'm excited. Read now. So exciting. So I'm probably gonna start this thing once I get back. I'm going to a movie with a friend, and then I'm probably gonna read this tonight, and then probably catch you tomorrow. Yeah, but so I'll probably catch you guys tomorrow for kind of just like my first thoughts, first impressions, because I think I'm gonna be reading this a little bit later tonight when I get back. So I'll catch you guys then. Okay, so we got the book all up. It says it starts on page 8. Honestly, I think the page format is going to be a little different on my Kindle than like on in an actual book, obviously, but my plan for right now is to catch you every 50 pages. So I'm going to start this thing, and I will talk to you in 50 pages about how I feel. Let's go. All right, I'm on page 50, and oh my gosh, I'm actually having such a great time. It's not like I expected anything less from this book, but impressions at the moment, what's happening is they're in the zoo and they're talking to the news reporter person. So I'm going by 50 pages is what 50 pages is on my Kindle. Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect anything less, but I'm really liking the chemistry between the two. Lucy's introduction, I mean, I know the whole point is to make her captivating, but yeah, she's captivating. And as for like, I don't know how to say it, Coriolanus? Snow? Him, he's definitely interesting. They bring up a few things that I would predict might come back later. For example, like his tendency to be obsessive. It's funny how you can like see it when he focuses at the shirt on the shirt at the beginning, and then on like figuring out who his tribute is and whatever. And I think it's really interesting that he hopped in that cage with them. Like, although he's still definitely kind of stuck up and a lot different from the rest of them, I definitely think that showed kind of like his commitment to the whole ordeal that might be like a result of that obsessiveness. I don't know, just guessing. But yeah, I'm having a great time. Predictions at this point is I really hope Lucy wins. I don't think I can take it if she dies because I'm kind of already attached to her. And yeah, I definitely like the beginning where they set up all the struggles for the Snow family, because even though President Snow is more of a villain in the later books, but at the moment he's not necessarily relatable, but they're definitely giving you reasons to root for him, especially because it's from his point of view. So yeah, I'm intrigued, and I'll catch you guys in 50 pages. Okay, I am not another 50 pages in, rest assured. However, one thing I forgot to mention that I'm kind of realizing as I'm reading this scene where I don't know how to say this guy's name either. I'm not even gonna try. But the guy from the districts that's in school with President Snow, is that it's very interesting how they show like the games before they were like the games, like the transportation, how brutal that was, and the fact that they're keeping them in a zoo Like, it's brutal, but also the other interesting bit about that, I think, is it shows like a lot of the capital's perspective. And like in a scene right before this, God, I don't know how to say the main character's name still. Coriolanus? President Snow is what I'm gonna call him. He talks about like having a fever and laying down in the street during wartime and like literally no one noticing. And it just shows like how brutal this entire war was on the whole society, and just the games that they're beginning is so interesting. All right, that's all I had to say. I'll catch you in 50 pages, I swear. Okay, so I am now officially 100 pages in. Right now I'm at the scene where Arcane, I think that's how you say it, Arachne. God, I'm having trouble with these names. It's also because I'm exhausted, but she just died, and not gonna lie, it was pretty brutal. At this point in the book, my thoughts are, I'm not exactly sure about this romance bit they're kind of stirring up between the two main characters. I don't really know how to feel about that. I'm not really feeling the spark yet. I'm feeling their charisma individually, but I don't know about together. I feel like this is gonna be like they make them fall in love, and I kind of hope that doesn't happen, because they had like a one-off joke about them being married, and it was just like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm on board with that, but we'll see what I think as the book goes on. But yeah, Arcane literally, God, I hope I'm saying that right, literally just died, and this guy Festus is like, come to my place. So that's where I am. I don't know, it's really good. It's really well written. I like the pacing of this so far. The whole zoo scenes is just like so interesting, like I said before in my little bit in between when I was reading, where like seeing how the games were before are very interesting. But at this point I'm also kind of wondering about like how this book is going to go, because at this point they haven't had the interviews, but we're kind of getting like closer to the games, and it seems like it's definitely not going to be halfway before we go into the games. So like I said, my Kindle's pages are different, but I'm currently on 108 of 541. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what they're gonna do, like if the games are gonna end and then like potentially Lucy wins or whatever and we see President Snow, but I feel like there's gonna be, it's not just gonna be in the games like the first book was. It's going to be the games and then something else. I think this book would be hard pressed to make the games last for the whole book, but that's just how I feel right now, so we'll have to see. As for predictions, I'm really hoping that they don't make them become love interests, because I'm just not feeling it. And predictions, this one's kind of obvious, but now that someone's like died, they're probably going to be even harsher on the tributes, which is interesting because you wonder how they got from this at the 10th Hunger Games to the 74th was Katniss's, for them being in luxury. So I wonder if they're going to show that change, or if that's just like assumed to happen later. But yeah, I'll catch you in 50 pages. Oh my gosh. Okay, so it's the morning and I'm another 50 pages in, 150 now. And wow, oh my gosh, so much has happened. What to even talk about first? First of all, the snakes that bit, oh god, how do you say her name? This is the one thing about this video. I'm just gonna be constantly embarrassing myself because I can't say any of these names, but I think I did figure this one out. Clemencia. That's how I think you say it. Clemencia, the girl who, oh my god, that was nuts. She like, oh my god, like, there's just, I don't trust that doctor person. Like at first I just thought she was kind of insane, but you definitely have to be a lot sick in the head to not only facilitate all these people dying in the Hunger Games, but then also just like literally let this also innocent child get bitten by snakes. And then she shows back up in the hospital and she's like turning into a snake. I'm not sure what's going on here, but the other bit that's going on is the Hunger Games is being constantly delayed. I forgot if, I think I did talk about Arachne's funeral, but now even more people have died because, oh gosh, there's just like so much that went on in these 50 pages. I'm so into it now. But yeah, so Clemencia got bitten by snakes, and then the crazy doctor is like, I'm gonna implement your proposal, whatever. And of course, President Snow, I can't even try to pronounce his name, I'm not gonna try. He's like getting increasingly conflicted about all this, and I think that's also very interesting. Like, I wonder kind of where that switch comes in later, where he becomes like a representative for everything he doesn't seem to like at the moment. I'm really hoping it's not because of the death of Lucy Gray, but now I'm kind of suspicious because I don't think that great of a character change can happen without something drastic happening, and I don't know. I'm just speculating. It's also, like I said before, so interesting. Like, the whole bit of this was like them seeing the arena as well. And then the bombs going off. I have high suspicions. Maybe not high suspicions because it definitely could have been rebels, but like, you're gonna tell me that they broke into this broken down arena where you host this like huge event every year and they put bombs there without you noticing? Like, I was really convinced that it was Dr. Guile, is maybe how you say it? I'm still kind of thinking that a little bit, but now they're making me think it's the rebels. Also, then like some of the tributes escaped, like this Marcus kid, and I am placing my bets that Sehanus, oh god, I'm really going off, like not going off with these names, that he's hiding Marcus. I'm convinced because there was a throwaway line where it was like he didn't mention Marcus or whatever, and I think if he wasn't hiding him or didn't have something to do with it, he would be like more sad or worried. And also there's no way he got away from the Capitol like that without some kind of help because the others were caught and killed. Also, I read the bit where it's like the funeral, and now I feel like it's just going a little crazy. Like, before it was brutal, but you could kind of get it because one of the tributes like directly murdered Arachne, like whatever, but it was still way too brutal. Like the fact that they hung her body and made the others look, that's horrible. But it's getting even worse now. Like the bit that I just read, like the funeral of the twins, oh, gosh, it was like they dragged some of the bodies behind a like horse or something. I don't know, but like it's just so interesting how they treat the deaths of the tributes versus the Capitol people. And it's also interesting how literally none of those tributes were responsible for like the bombing, yet they're still literally being publicly not humiliated because they're dead, but like it's, oh, I don't know. And then where I finished was where Lucy Gray was like, are you gonna believe I can win now? And yeah, I mean, I think she could, but also I'm kind of confused how they're gonna go ahead with this Hunger Games. So many people have died. There are not the right number of tributes left and the arena's gone. Like, maybe this is their segue into showing like where they rebuild the arena and start having it be like more over the top. But I don't know, I still feel like that's a lot for 541 pages, but I guess if they're delayed, I feel like the pacing could work out that way. Yeah, those are my thoughts for the moment. I'm definitely into it. I'm very into it. Also, I'm definitely not feeling the romance though. They had a few lines again where it was like they're trying to suggest something, and I think if anything, these two are like trauma bonded. They're not. I don't feel that. The spark. I'll see you in 50 pages. All right, so I'm back from a full day of school and I'm at page 200. So at the moment they are about to start watching the games, and I'm almost positive the prediction I made earlier about Sehanus, these names, he's gonna get caught. Almost positive, especially when the dean was like, go make sure he has a chair by the door. Something's gonna go down. Also, Clemencia has showed back up and she is molting is how they describe it. There's something fishy going on here, and like the main character's point of view on it is really frustrating because you can tell that she's trying to tell him something and he's just not listening. I also think over the course of the book, and especially where I am now, it's been very interesting watching like the internal conflict for, I'm just gonna call him Corio. You know what, that's an easy solution for Corio. At this point, it's been interesting seeing how he values the safety blanket of power, especially when he was writing that essay about the war, and how that kind of conflicts with all these like moral reconsiderings he's been having throughout the whole book. Yeah, so the games are about to start. Honestly, I don't have that big of an update. I'm into it, and at the moment I'm probably most invested in kind of like just the main character's personal struggle, because like I said, it's interesting to see the two opposing sides of him. One that like is trying very hard to uphold his reputation and be very like capital, and the other which is trying to be understanding. He's almost having these realizations. It's not even necessarily understanding. I think he's not very understanding of the character at all. But what I mean is he's having these realizations of people around him that are second guessing what's going on, and in turn it leads him to second guess it, especially with Lucy Gray. They did have that kiss scene, and I stand by what I said. I'm not feeling the romance, honestly. I think those two are trauma bonded, not necessarily romantically involved. I'm just not feeling it. Tell me down below if you thought that as well, because I hope I'm not the only one. Like, I hope people aren't into this and I'm just sitting here like, ah. But yeah, I'm excited to read about the games, and I think I'm just gonna go do that, and I'll catch you in 50 pages. Okay, I'm back approximately 2 seconds later. Ignore the background noise, but yep, I was right. Marcus is there, and he's literally just hanging in the middle of the arena. I will say one thing about this book is it's brutal. Like, it really makes you feel the whole dystopian vibe of the book. But yeah, I was right. And I'm worried for, what's his name? Sehanus now. Because I liked him, and I think he was a good influence on Koryo. So, we'll see. Now I'm actually gonna catch you in 50 pages. Okay, so I'm on page 250 now, and yeah, so the games have been going on. A few people have died. Koryo, that's what we're calling him, went into the arena, which is a very interesting scene. But the thing that I got the most from these 50 pages is kind of like, I guess, an insight into Koryo's character, because you kind of knew he had like selfish and, as he said, obsessive tendencies, but I feel like the excuses that he makes during this section, like he goes in and saves Sehanus, but only because he's told to by a person in charge, and only because if he doesn't do it, he would lose something. So it just kind of shows the true raw nature of his character. Like, I think it's becoming increasingly obvious that he's just like not a great person. I don't know, that might seem like a silly insight, but I feel like it's become really apparent, especially when like the plinths showed up a lot in these 50 pages, and just his attitude towards them. I feel like he's clinging to the superiority to have some sense that he's like safe. You can kind of tell it, like you can kind of tell that he constantly worries about that from whenever he thinks about the war. It's definitely interesting how they developed his character over these 50 pages. And when I stopped at page 250, Lucy Gray just showed her face in the arena, and oh no, Jessup is after her. I'm still intrigued, I'm still invested, and I'll get back to you in 50 pages. All right, we are page 300 currently. Sorry if I look a bit busted, I'm tired. But yeah, what just happened right now when I stopped on the page was that Lucy was singing a song and all the snakes swarmed her and went on her dress. I'm not gonna lie, that's actually terrifying. Like, I'm kind of getting grossed out reading it. There's a lot going on right now. The games are going on. One of the guys who was blown up in the like arena wreckage has just died, and I'm kind of suspicious about that because Dr. Guile, I think, has something to do with it, if I had to guess, just because the mention of it came from her, and I feel like she was definitely experimenting on him or something. Also, I actually have zero idea why well, okay, not zero idea, but it's funny that the snakes aren't hurting Lucy. Obviously, we are inclined to believe it's because of Koryo like dropping the handkerchief in there, but I'm not sure if that's the case because he's kind of hinting at it, like the snakes didn't even act like this when they knew his scent. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. There's probably more than meets the eye is what I suspect, but I haven't any theories yet because I'm tired. But yeah, at the moment, Dr. Guile has to go. That is my opinion. And like I was saying before, Koryo is still having a lot of conflict over himself. When he did that for Lucy, he was thinking, did I do this for myself or for her? So it kind of seemed like maybe he may be changing a little bit, not a ton, like he's definitely still selfish, but the fact that he did something that would definitely get him in bigger trouble and like would benefit him not as much, it was purely for Lucy, I think is interesting. But yeah, I don't really have much else to say. One thing that this book is really good at, though, is just like the brutality of it. Like, maybe it's just because I haven't read the original Hunger Games book series in a very long time, but just the death, the brutality of the arena, the fact that it's an old sports arena too, that imagery is just so haunting because obviously most people know what a sports arena looks like, whether that's like in person or on TV, but it's so crazy to think about it in this sense, just an abandoned one. I don't know, it feels so like dystopian and real, which I think is similar to the original Hunger Games books, but because I remember being like 10 and being like, someone is gonna come and make me go in the Hunger Games, which is not the truth. But I guess my whole point is that Stephanie Collins is just a great writer, and I'm definitely feeling it. I'm invested, but I'm also kind of scared. Like, I'm a little creeped out. Not really quite sure what's going on at this point. But yeah, I'm over halfway through, so I will catch you at 3:50. Okay guys, sorry if I look a little busted. This is post school, but I'm currently on page 350. So Koryo got busted for his interference with like the games. I don't know why this is so zoomed in. Yeah, so he got busted. And honestly, I was expecting that a little bit, because when he slipped the handkerchief into the tank, I was kind of like, this handkerchief is not just gonna magically vanish. They're going to find it there and eventually suspect at least someone, if not him. And it was just even more unfortunate that it ended up having his father's initials on it. Like, dang dude, you really didn't think that one out. But you know what? I respected him for that, and it was kind of interesting to see his character arc of like, not necessarily caring less about the rules, but being more human in his actions towards others. So now he's been demoted to a peacekeeper, and he's in District 12, and Sehanis just showed up, and let me tell you, when that guy showed up, I was like, yes, bring him back. And it was very endearing to see how Koryo's opinion towards him had changed. He was super happy to see him, and I really hope that he grows to appreciate him as a friend. But I'm also getting kind of nervous because I'm over halfway, and if this is President Snow's backstory, I feel like we're about to get some, I don't know, maybe not about to get, but things are gonna take a turn for the worse eventually, and I'm nervous. I mean, Lucy Gray has obviously survived the games, she won, but something's about to go wrong. I just can feel it, because there's no way he wouldn't end up like he is in the later books if something dramatic didn't happen, and I'm scared for that dramatic thing, and I really hope it's not Lucy Gray like dying or something, but we'll see. So yeah, that's where I'm at in the book. I'm going to now keep reading, and then I'll catch you in 50 pages. Okay, we are officially at 400. So not only was my prediction right, it has literally just happened. Koryo sent a letter to Dr. Guile, and if I had to guess, this is the beginning of the end. Primarily because she's just so like nuts. I actually have no idea how he justified that for himself. To make a long tangent short, his actions in this bit are very interesting because they're not only self-interested, but almost extremely so. He saw Lucy Gray again. They're back together. I still am not feeling the romance. You guys will have to let me know in the comment section down below if you liked the romance, but genuinely, like, I'm just not feeling it. I don't know what it is. It's not, I don't know. I guess maybe it just wasn't as much of a slow burn. They didn't have I don't actually know, because I can do fast romances. Like, that's not a problem for me, but for some reason this is just not doing it for me. I think primarily because I kind of view them more as trauma bonded than actually in love. Like, these two met each other at a time when they needed someone, and I kind of feel like they just love each other for that. And also, Koryo is so possessive. He like sees her again, he's like, my girl, that's mine. And it's like, no, she's not really yours, she's another person. But anyway, but that's just like another flaw of this character, is he's very possessive and obsessive, as he said in like the first bit. But yeah, still having a good time. And I'm predicting that this is the beginning of the end. At this point in the book, right where I stopped, page 400, they are trapping the like Mockingjay Jabberjays to give to the Capitol, and he had just written the letter. So I have no idea how this is going to unfold, but I'm predicting, pretty sure this is the beginning of the end, at least for his kind of like his character change. I feel like he's only gonna regress from here, but maybe that's, hopefully not. I hope I'm proven wrong, but I mean, I feel like he needs to regress at least a point where it could be plausible for him to grow up into President Snow. I'll catch you in 50 pages. We'll see if I'm right. Oh, and I just laid back down to keep reading, but also another thing to note that happened over those 50 pages was he wants to be an officer now. And so when I stopped, he was like, they were rounding up the birds and he was about to take the test for that. So we will see how that goes. Honestly, if I had to predict, I don't know, maybe he will be. I say that maybe I don't like think he will be because he'll have to be president at some point, but he's still young. So he could full well become an officer, but I also feel like that is a little bit of the beginning of the end because he's not happy to stay in 12, and as an officer, who knows, he could get moved somewhere else. So yeah, that was my note. All right, now I will actually see you in 50 pages. Okay, so a lot has happened. I'm at page 450 now, and yeah, a lot is going on, that's for sure. So first he learns out that Sejanus is lying to him. He's got a bunch of money and something is going on, but he doesn't exactly know what yet, and that's kind of like the beginning of the chapter. But very quickly we learn that he's consorting with the rebels and planning to leave. And as I kind of suspected, although the letter hasn't come back yet, this was kind of the beginning of his end. There's this one passage, I highlighted a bunch because I was like, okay, I've got to come back to this, but there's this one that I feel like is so indicative, especially of him at this point. He said he was obsessive, but I mean, now with Lucy Gray, it's almost that more obvious. He says on page 413, he says that he almost wished that Lucy Gray was back in the Capitol so that he would know what she's doing at every moment. Because he's jealous. So yeah, when I was saying I didn't really like their relationship, I'm starting to realize that's probably why. He's mostly driven by like possessiveness and jealousy, and I don't think it's the same for her, but obviously we don't know because we can't see her inner dialogue. But I thought that was indicative that he's kind of just going a little, not crazy, but he's never really been a good person. It's just being exacerbated by these circumstances, which is strange. But then he also will show like these little moments of humility. For example, like on page 421 where he like saves all the popcorn balls for the cubby, which is sweet, and he's not actually gaining anything from it. And it's kind of interesting because those like small moments of humility are very like far between, but it makes you realize he's still got some good in him and no one's like pure evil, I guess. But yeah, that first quote was definitely something. So then he kind of goes on this whole spiel to Lucy Gray about how like humans are naturally born to chaos and like animalistic tendencies like happen in the games. And first of all, that is straight from the mouth of Dr. Gowell. Like I think when she first said that to him, I remember him being like, you're not right, but now he's parroting it. And I feel like this is what I mean. It's the beginning of the end. He's starting to act. And then of course Lucy Gray's like, you actually think that? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, but then he like still also has these moments. It's so conflicting, right? Because you can kind of see that he's kind of like getting a bit, I don't know, not more evil, but you know what I mean. A lot of his less desirable qualities are definitely coming out. But on page 441, when they're at like the lake, he's like, could I just do this? Like, does love conquer all? Could I just like be with Lucy Gray by the lake? But I think like if we're talking Shakespeare, his fatal flaw is definitely ambition, and I think, let's be honest, as the readers, we know he can't just do that. But yeah, and then he like goes to her show and stuff is going on at Sejanus. But first of all, I was shocked. My mouth fell open when he started recording his plans for escape with the Jabberjay and then sent it to the Capitol. I mean, if we didn't think this guy was just crazy ambitious to the point of like endangering the people closest to him, like Sejanus has been there for him through thick and thin, yet he's never stopped looking down on him. He appreciated him maybe once, and it was only because he came to save him. So, I mean, I kind of knew he would be our unlikable protagonist from the beginning, but it's just like kind of getting worse and worse. Like the fact that he did that, and then he has this moment of, oh my God, like something bad might really happen to him. But then he's like, nah, that won't really happen. Like, my man, did you learn nothing from being a mentor in the Hunger Games? It's just a lot. So, you know, we're kind of seeing his, not downward spiral, but he's definitely showing some more undesirable qualities. That's our unlikable narrator right there. And I guess I'll catch you in 50 pages. I'm suspecting this is the beginning of the end, and I'm getting kind of sad because I don't know. I mean, I just tend to believe the best in people, and I'm kind of like, but he could turn it around. But I feel like all the signs are very much pointing to no, especially because we haven't gotten the resolution with the letter to what's her name, and that's probably gonna have something to do with him getting back into power. The interesting thing though is that I feel that it really makes sense with his character, is why I can't be completely upset about it, because I've talked about this a lot, but like he clearly had a lot of trauma from war, so he like relies very much on the feeling of safety. And even when he realizes the rebels could get into the like base, the only thing he worries about is his safety. It's almost like a childish knee-jerk reaction. And so you can tell where he gets all these tendencies from, but it's still like, come on, dude. You know where it comes from, but it's still incredibly damaging, especially to the people around him. And I'm scared for what's gonna happen to Sejanus, because I think it's very naive of Corio to think that his dad could just pay them off for this one. Like, I think he's already done that enough. I don't think that anything good's gonna come of that. I mean, I'm crossing my fingers for a happy ending, but let's be honest, we're not gonna get our happy ending But the book is great, still would recommend, and I'm gonna see if I can power through and finish this one tonight. So I'll see you in 50. I said I would be back in 50, but I did have to mention this because I just got to it. I'm on page 474 and Sejanus died, and I'm so sad. I mean, he was pretty reckless, but the fact that Corio caused that almost directly, I mean, you knew something bad was coming from the moment he sent that Jabberjay out, but still, God, it really is the beginning of the end is all I can say. I hate when they kill off characters that you like. And the imagery of him being a boy, and then him saying ma, his poor mother. All Corio has done this entire time is like shame her, and she's like sending him baked goods. Ugh. Anyway, all right, I'll be back in actually 50. All right, ignore all the ruckus in the background. One of my sisters has just come home, but I'm scrapping the 50-page rule. This is the end of the book, and I'm so sorry. I'm just going to talk to you as developments come up, but at the moment we're on page 490, and he is going to run away with Lucy Gray because the mayor has been like harassing her because he suspects that she killed his daughter. And it's 490, and he's like literally about to leave, and he got called to the commander's office. But I haven't read further than that because I have a prediction. Okay, so my prediction is that all right, so this I have not read further, I actually swear. 490, I'm serious, haven't gone further. But my prediction is that he is going to go into the commander's office. Someone from the Capitol is going to be there. Maybe Dr. Guile, I don't know if she'd come all the way out there, and they're gonna be like, we have a position or some kind of job for you, or maybe he even got the officers thing. I didn't think about that. And he's gonna accept, and he's gonna have a bunch of internal conflict, and Lucy Gray's gonna leave, and he's gonna be heartbroken. I'm just gonna keep reading, and I'll update you when something happens, because I'm 91% done is what my Kindle is telling me, and I can't be bothered to do the 50-page thing at this point, so I'll update you guys when something new happens. We're about 3 pages more from where I was before. He did get the officer position. It wasn't Dr. Guile, but the commander told him that. But contrary to my belief, this man is leaving. He is heading out to find Lucy. So we'll see what happens next. I'm continuing, and they actually seem to be leaving. They've got walking sticks and everything. And she asked him who's the third person he killed, and he didn't own up to Sejanus' death. That's gonna come to bite him in the butt, but yeah. Well, there we go. Here's the change. He's found the murder weapon in the shed, and he's now gonna go back to the Peacekeepers. I knew it was coming sometime, but I definitely was a little bit thrown off by the fact that they actually left. Yeah. This isn't going to be pretty. There's probably going to be a showdown between these two, and I'd like to say I'm surprised, but how he's acted this whole book, it's not necessarily a surprise, just more a disappointment. Okay, well, I'm gonna keep reading. Oh my god, this is nuts. It's page 503, and it's seeming like he's gonna kill her. He's going after her with a rifle. Oh god. I finished. Well, at least I'm at the epilogue. I expected it, but I'm still sad, and I really want to know what happens to Lucy Gray. I'm gonna read the epilogue, and I really hope it says something. But yeah, I mean, I hate to be like, I was right, but at least about their romance, I definitely believe I was, because it was not love. It was more infatuation. And the fact that he's now gonna study under Dr. Guile, like, our main character, Corio, is crazy. He watched one of his friends get bitten by snakes by this lady for lying. I don't know. I just feel like this man, he's too deluded to hang on to power that he'll ignore every single warning sign. And that's just his character. All right, I'm gonna read this epilogue and then I'll let you know my closing thoughts. All right, I finished, and oh my god. Ugh, it was so good, yet so like, it was almost Shakespearean in the way that it was a tragedy. I don't know if that's the right way of saying it, but wow. And he ends up killing the dean in the end. God. But yeah, it's also interesting how the plinth and him become family, and it's mind-blowing how he doesn't feel guilty. Like, it's almost psychopathic behavior, but it's late and I'm tired, so I'm gonna go to bed. But overall, I really enjoyed this book. I hope you like this reading vlog. It's definitely something different. I've never done one of these before, but I thought it would be fun to kind of just check in with you guys as I read the book, because I'm reading it for book club as well, so I figured I might do something like this with it. But yeah, if you enjoyed this, please let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!